Okay, so my original goal was to build a Raspberry Pi media server, and I started out with a much more complicated media server. Uh, I wanted it to be Wi-Fi and to have the ability to broadcast a signal that anybody within the range of the Wi-Fi could pick it up and stream by just typing in the IP address. And unfortunately, I hit a hiccup and that the root wouldn't let me have access to it. So around step 10 of 14, I could no longer work on the media server. And last minute, I had to switch gears and go with a different media server. So I found another tutorial online that explained to me how to turn a Raspberry Pi into an XBMC media server. So you have the SD card here, and you have to run a 10 quality SD card so that it can actually transmit the data fast enough in order to have the operating system at peak efficiency. So you put the SD card into whatever computer you have, download two different things. First, you're going to have to download the actual file for the operating system, and then you're going to have to download a separate program that will mount that disk image onto your SD card. After you're done with that, you can go ahead and plug it into the Raspberry Pi, and you have the whole thing plugged into the multiple out here, because there are really only two USB ports on here, and you're going to need more than two, unfortunately. So I went ahead and bought a cheap little $12 multi-out from Walmart. I've got a 16 gig flash drive that you can barely see. The reason for that was I wanted it to be small enough so that if you end up getting a keyboard and mouse combo that'll only run off of one Wi-Fi connection, you can plug it into the bottom there, and this thing's small enough that it's not sticking out much. Everything can end up being much more portable, easier to hide behind things. So you have everything running, and you start it up for the first time. It's going to have to do a few additional tweaks and downloads and whatnot. It actually has to be hooked up to the internet through an Ethernet port to your router at home. So you're going to need a hardline connection before you can actually get going on all of this in order to tweak the XBMC operating system. But after you're done, everything ends up running pretty smoothly, and you end up having to go in, unfortunately with Raspberry Pi having the limitations that it currently does, before they release the next one that's going to be bigger and better, you end up wanting to scale down what your media server can actually do. So I ended up having to go in through the system and changing a lot of the settings, because it's going to actually run at 1080p, and in order to get it as fast as you want it, you're going to want to scale it down somewhere around 1280 or 1280 on your resolution and 720p on the videos themselves, because that way it's not taxing it as much. I ended up buying the Raspberry Pi Model B Revision 2, so it's as good as they can get currently with technology. And for the demonstration, I downloaded several different things onto the 16 gig flash drive. I put all of them into separate folders so they're much easier to find within everything, and I downloaded a picture, a movie, and then an entire discography of a band. So go through there. Pictures.
Nice FERPA compliant picture there too.
Yeah. I didn't want anything that would be
no, with today's
too
facial
crazy.
recognition.
Yeah. Videos. Doesn't really matter where we started from. Playing with it a bit yesterday and making sure that the audio actually tracks at the same rate that the video does. Unfortunately, I'm having to run the video or the audio through a headset because I don't have portable speakers on me.
And no HDMI connection to
Yeah, the HDMI
Macs in
actually
this
allows
room.
it within the settings of the XBMC, you can actually go in and tell it that you want to run your audio through audio output. I've got mine running analog, but you actually get the option of running it through the HDMI cable instead if you actually have an HDMI device that has speakers on it. Fortunately, this is my computer monitor, not a TV. My TV's too large to bring. And also downloaded an entire discography onto my 16 gig flash drive of Cell Dweller, which is a nice industrial band.
Yep.
And I should have stopped that. So yeah, unfortunately it's actually playing down there. You can see it counting up, but you cannot hear it because tiny little headset there.
Maybe digital dogs can hear it.
Yeah, so that was
Outstanding.
my Raspberry Pi Media Server. It has the ability to actually go online and download more additional features.
Yep.
But for the sake of simplicity and not wanting to mess up something I had just created, I decided to skip over that feature for now and do that at a later date.
Very nice. Well done. I'll shut down the recording here. Thank you very much.